Good morning. It's Monday, November 28th, 2011. This is Julia coming to you from WCRX-LP, Columbus, Ohio, 102.1 FM, the broadcast radio service of the Bexley Public Radio Foundation. Visit us on our website, www.wcrxlp.com. Today, instead of the usual inspiration, I have a little family fun ideas that someone gave to me. Have a special evening for movie night. Popcorn and or chips, cider, and other little specialties you might like to have to munch on. Relax, sit back, and enjoy. And the second one is about snow, which I'm told we're supposed to have a little of this week, and I'm hoping it's not going to be a lot. When it snows, everyone head outdoors for sledding, snowball fights, and snowman building competition. Now that I'd love to be involved in. It is time for the Toastmaster Community Table Talk. And of course, some of you may know or remember a little bit of the Toastmaster history. Started in 1924. 1981, 90,000 members. And of course, now there's over 270,000 members. And it is continuing to grow and grow. The goal of our program is to give people opportunity to improve their speaking skills, to learn about broadcasting, and to introduce the world of the Toastmaster to the community. Now it is time for our Table Talk tip of the day. T. Wayne, how are you?
I'm great, Julia. How are you? Good morning.
Wonderful, thank you.
Well, I don't know about you, but I had a great Thanksgiving.
I did also.
All my family, my children were together. We went to my daughter's house and had a great day, great outing. Anyway, our Table Talk tip for today is something that a lot of people struggle with. And then once you sit down and speak with most people, they usually shake things loose and come up with a lot of information. But anyway, it's how to find a topic speech. Many times people, again, they get stuck. And really, I think it's probably one of the easiest things to do, but I'm kind of a dreamer. So it doesn't take me long to start dreaming and brainstorming. But what I would like to start with is, first thing that you need to do is think about something that you really like. Something that you like, something you enjoy doing. And that, again, that'll generally give you some ideas. And the other thing is kind of similar to your icebreaker speech. Talk about something that you know. Again, when we talk about the icebreaker speech, you talk about yourself. But then there's other things that you know, probably in your line of work or hobbies, things that you've done. When you're thinking about a speech for your audience, the first thing you need to do is really make sure that you know your audience. You want to think about things that are of interest to them, their age, their gender. And then there's something else that's very important. There may be some things you don't want to discuss, and that would be something that you would talk to your business contact about. And probably one of the big things that I've learned listening to a lot of the other professional speakers is you need to realize that the speech that you're giving is for the audience. A lot of times we get tied up in the mechanics of how we're speaking and what we're doing, but we really, if we're natural, again, going through, picking out something that we like, something that we know, and then making sure we know something about the audience and realize that what we're doing is trying to come together, bring something together that is for the audience. And then the last thing I'd say is just make sure you have fun, because when people see you having fun and enjoy yourself, it really makes them more comfortable. There's a guy, his last name is Stevenson. He teaches a course called the power of storytelling. This guy he's awesome, and he has a saying. He says, "Love yourself and let them watch. Love yourself and let them watch." All right, Julia, it's back to you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, our topic for discussion today is thinking about the box. Our speakers today will be Toastmaster Jay Elkes and my co-host, Toastmaster T. Wayne Gatewood. Let me give you a little bit of information about Jay. He is president of North Star Toastmasters, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary this month. Congratulations. He has been a Toastmaster since 1994 and has served in many offices over the years. Jay coaches people on applying common sense ideas to improve their lives and writes on the subject at extremeCommonSense.net. Good morning, Jay, and welcome. Now, may I have your testimonial, please?
Good morning, Julia. I first encountered Toastmasters not in 1994 when I joined, but in 1968 or 69 when I was a teenager. At that time, Toastmasters typically had dinner meetings, and I thought that was really cool. And they told me, well, yes, it is cool, but come back when you're 18 years old.
Oh.
So the next time I showed up at a Toastmasters meeting was 1984, and that was at a office Toastmasters club, which somehow I didn't really connect with, and it took me another 10 years to get back. So my advice is wait until you're 18, but get started as soon as you can.
Thank you. And our co-host, Toastmaster T. Wayne Gatewood, let me give you a little bit of his bio. T. Wayne Gatewood, he's a native of Columbus, Ohio. He's a family man with a passion for people and a focus for working with children and young adults. He was raised by a single mom and grandmother. He is a professional speaker, trainer, and author. He has a book titled Charlie Brown, the Class Clown. It's an autobiography of his life. In the 5th grade, T. Wayne was labeled a slow learner, but he overcame the label to become a successful business owner and entrepreneur. He delivers keynote speeches, seminars, and workshops with a brand called The Builder of Lives. He is also a platinum speaker of Les Brown's, whom he was trained by. T. Wayne has had workshops being offered at Columbus School for Girls, Columbus City Schools, West Virginia University, and just recently, last weekend, at the Y on Woodland Avenue. He has a quote, "You can't beat the laws of nature, and you can't rush learning. Learning is like a garden. You have to plant the seeds, then you have to water those seeds, and then you have to give those seeds time to grow, for speed kills." T. Wayne, let's have your testimonial, please.
Okay, my testimonial. My testimonial goes back to 2006. I had the dream of becoming a professional speaker probably since 1994. But I went to a workshop with Les Brown in Orlando, Florida back in 2006. And one of the things that he recommended was that you join Toastmasters. He said that Toastmasters was a great place to learn all the mechanics of speaking, along with the leadership skills that they teach. So that's really how I got started in Toastmasters. And actually, before that, I had put on a program with Donato's Pizza for a leadership program for some of their up and coming managers, and that was an eye opener. But really, getting involved in it deeply myself was 2006. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Again, our topic for discussion this morning is thinking about the box. Gentlemen.
Well, thank you, Julia. Toastmasters teaches us to create SMART goals, and it reminds us that a goal is a wish with a deadline. To achieve that goal and meet that deadline, we need to plan, because failing to plan is planning to fail. When we do planning in our heads, we go through 5 steps. We can use those same steps to plan anything. Those steps are, number 1, define the purpose and principles. Number 2, identify your desired outcome. Number 3, brainstorm options. Number 4, organize the results. And number 5, take a next action. T. Wayne, I'd like to show this as a simple example. Can you come up with something we can use?
Jay, I'd imagine that most of the people listening would want to improve their communication skills. What do you think? Can we use that?
I think so. That's a good purpose, but we need to explore the concept of principles. Our principles are the beliefs, assumptions, and constraints that we make, which put boundaries on what we do. They define a box that we can think within.
Well, don't we want to think outside the box, Jay?
Out-of-the-box thinking is really changing our assumptions to make the box bigger. Sir Isaac Newton, for example, took his idea of what was going on around him in his immediate neighborhood and expanded it to describe the motion of planets and stars throughout the universe. He didn't really think outside the box. He developed a new branch of mathematics and defined a bigger box. So he thought about the box. So what kind of assumptions are we making about improving our communication skills?
Well, first of all, I'd say we probably have a budget and a limited amount of time. And the other thing you want to think about is how far we need to travel and how soon we need to get results for what we're working on.
Good. That's step one. We've defined what the box looks like. So if we want to imagine wild success in step two, what does wild success look like? How do we improve communication skills to make things, because it means different things to different people?
You know, for Toastmasters, that's usually your presentation skills and overcoming the nervousness and also building self-confidence.
Right, but it could also be something like needing a voice coach. So what does success look like for us here if everything succeeds? How are we going to present this?
Well, I think for me, I would think you'd become more confident. You would, as far as you become more authoritative, interesting, and entertaining to a large audience.
Okay, that's step two. So now we have a box that we can think about and within. Step three is brainstorming ways to achieve our result. You can do that sometimes with a group of people, which is the traditional brainstorming way, but sometimes you have to figure it out for yourself, and there you can simply make a list of as many ways as possible. One of the challenges is to come up with as many as 20 ideas on how to solve a problem. So we won't have time for 20 here, but let's see if we can identify a couple.
Well, for me, I'd start out with joining a Toastmasters group. You know, that's one. Again, going back to what I said in my testimonial, that's one of the things that was recommended to me by one of the top speakers in the world.
Toastmasters is a great way to do this if you give yourself enough time. If you're going to have to give the best speech of your life next Tuesday, the Toastmasters probably isn't a good choice. A good speech coach might be. Another time you might want to get college credit, and a college speech course could get you that academic credit. So which choice you make is going to depend very heavily on the assumptions that you made in step one.
Well, Jay, I've heard the saying, different strokes for different folks. I'll say there's different boxes for different people.
Well, so if we choose Toastmasters as our solution, we can brainstorm about what comes next, what sort of things might come out of that.
Well, you can look for a club in your neighborhood, or talk to one of your friends who's a Toastmaster.
And there's a website there we can check, I imagine?
Yes, there is. It's toastmasters.org.
You also probably need to come up with some real-world things. What day of the week can you attend on a regular basis, for example? As our brainstorming closes on a solution, you organize things as dependencies, what depends on what, and sequences what has to happen before something else. Organizing is step 4 of the process. You put the results of your organizing into action lists in step 5.
Sounds to me, Jay, you're talking about to-do lists, right? Is that right?
Only if your to-do list calls out physical actions. Things like, who do you call? What do you want to do? How are you going to research it? Where will you go and what will you do? If you do the thinking in advance, doing the doing gets a lot easier.
So basically my next step is to research a club for me, in close proximity to my neighborhood.
Which completes step 5, and now we have a plan. So let's take a moment and review those 5 steps. Number one, we define the purpose and the principles involved. So we're trying to improve our communication skills.
Okay.
Number two, we identify the desired outcome that we want our confidence, we want to be able to present to a large audience.
Okay.
Number three, we want to brainstorm our various options. Do we join Toastmasters? Do we develop a speech coach? Do we do whatever? Number four is to organize the results. And number five is to take next actions and put them on a list. Those are the 5 steps, and they can be used to plan anything from designing a pizza to designing a project of any size.
Jay, I like all this. I was wondering, do you actually use this in your day-to-day endeavors when you're going through your work?
I try to. It follows a model developed in a book called Getting Things Done by David Allen, which describes not only this, but how to organize the next actions effectively. And I carry around a PDA, which keeps hundreds of things I have on my action lists.
Okay. Jay, but this is great, but would you please talk a little bit more on step number 5?
Well, step number 5 is defining next actions. And it's a question of recognizing that sometimes you just catch an idea, for example, tires, and you look at it later and goes, what's that? Well, I mean, what am I going to do in order to replace my tires? That might be a phone call in terms of researching prices. It might be going out to the internet. So the challenge is, once you have an idea, a thought, to process it and identify physical actions. Where do you go? What do you do? Who do you talk to? What happens next in the real world?
The topic actions. I really like to say a little bit more about that. I think that's where most people are getting stuck. If you think about it, usually you give someone all the steps. You've got the 5 steps, and all that's seems to be pretty easy to figure out once you follow your format here. But then when you get into taking action, I think that's where a lot of people struggle. Now, there's a gentleman that I've been studying his material, and he shows you how to put together different training programs, how to maybe even write books. But one of the things that he talks about when you have any kind of a program, especially something to somebody, well, it doesn't matter if they purchase it or if it's free, but he says that you should give them some ideas for the next steps to take. So just to kind of jumpstart them, to get their mind going.
Well, I think the key is to recognize the idea is what you want is a physical action to focus on. If you have to stop and think, what does tires mean, then you're not going to do it. But if you have a list of phone calls, the next time I have a phone and it's available, I can make the phone calls if I've got a physical list of calls to make. If I have something I need to do at home, for example, repair the hot water, I can't do anything about that, even though it may be very pressing, if I'm sitting here with you. I could pick up my keys and head out and immediately go and try to do it, but I'm always limited by what I have with me and where I am in terms of what I'm able to do. And the question to use it effectively is, how do I make my time effective with the resources that I have right now? And if my action lists are organized in terms of where I am and what tools I have, it works out very well.
I've got another question for you. This outside the box, again, it's really intriguing to me because a lot of people talk about it. But when you came at it in another direction, as we said, thinking about the box, one of the things I wonder is, do you have a workshop that you teach or some material that you've developed that people could be a part of?
Well, I do some coaching if somebody is interested, but you can find out more about the ideas at my website, which is extremecommonsense.net, and you'll see a blog there with a lot of common sense ideas.
Okay, Jay, I'm not totally out of gas, but I see our time's getting getting shorter, so I'll let you off the hook now.
Thank you, gentlemen. This has been very interesting, and I hope that our listeners really gained a lot of insight from this. Now it's time for Did You Know? I know Thanksgiving is over, the food and the parade and so forth, but for those of you who watched that parade, I wonder, did you know that in 1924, Macy's Christmas Parade made its debut on Thanksgiving with the procession of live animals and horse-drawn floats? Then, of course, later it was renamed Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. In 1927, helium balloons came around in shapes of animals and so forth, created by puppeteers and Macy's designer Tony Sarge, with some designs that included Felix the Cat and the toy soldiers. 1948, NBC started airing this event nationally, and people camp out very early in the morning or even the night before so they can have their special spots on the street to catch the parade as it's passing by. T. Wayne, do you have any further comments for us today?
Yes, I do. As I look at the list of, excuse me, as I look at the list of 5 things that Jay outlined, the 5 steps, I'm very intrigued by the last one. Take the next actions. And there's a quote that I like to share with you. First of all, I like to say, when you're working on things and you're putting together all your list and getting all your processes in order, is to get started. Get started. And the quote goes like this. It says, the law of attraction only happens when you're in action. The law of attraction only happens when you're in action. And what you'll find is once you start working with it, picking at it, talking about it, a lot of ideas will come to you that'll really get you started in the right direction. So I just want to thank you for being here today, Jay, and we look forward to working together some more.
Well, thank you.
Gentlemen, it was very good to have both of you here and to have our co-hosts included in this topic discussion. You've been listening to WCRX-LP, Columbus, Ohio, 102.1 FM, the broadcast radio service of Bexley Public Radio Foundation. Be sure to visit the website, WCRXLP.com. Have a terrific day, and we will see you next week. Bye.